Oh, it is almost 3:30. Oh,
It is. It's okay. We are live. It looks like on everything. So I'm excited.
Excellent.
I think we're good to go.
Fantastic.
All right. This is the fun part where we figure out to make sure the tech works. So I'm just going to jump in here to the good old LinkedIn and make sure that it is actually working.
That's good. Better you than me, because I don't know how to check that.
It's okay. You know what? Yes. Look at that. We are. Just so you are aware, there's a little bit of a delay. So whatever is happening. See, these are all the fun things that we get to do behind the scenes that make every live. So every live event that people watch, there's a ton of tech that happens behind the scenes for things to like actually make sure that they happen. So it's interesting to kind of fall in line and actually do the thing, right?
Yes.
All right. We'll wait till a few more people join us. And then we'll just get started at the 3:30 mark. When everybody has, if this is a replay too, so you can watch it back. We just won't comment live. But if you're joining us live, feel free to comment and we'll address any questions or things like that come up in this amazing conversation. I can't wait to have.
I'm excited to talk about careers and money. Let's go.
Careers and negotiation, two of my favorite topics.
Totally.
I love talking about negotiation. I feel like you and I have always had conversations about like, how do we make sure that we get paid our worth?
Absolutely.
So I'm pumped for this conversation.
Definitely.
As we go live, just as a reminder to those that join us, you can leave a comment no matter where you're at. We will see it, whether you are on or we're broadcasting on LinkedIn, on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So if you are joining us from any of those platforms, we will see you.
We will see you. Hello.
Our first.
Hello, Karthik.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm just going to check one more thing while we are here. Love technology.
Yes, you love it. I'm still scared of it. Why am I still scared of it? I love it. But
don't be scared of it.
Hello, Vaji.
Okay. I think we're live on the other side, so we'll figure it out. If not, we'll post the videos on the other platforms if they don't go. We're on the important one, which is LinkedIn. Hello and welcome, everybody. I am Shannon Foreman. I am the CEO and founder of two fantastically awesome companies, as I say. But most importantly, I am a change maker, no matter where I'm at in my life. And I love to be able to share space with amazing other change maker women, especially, but men too. But today we are going to showcase my dear, amazing friend, Sophia Khan, who is a leader with over 25 years of experience. She is a recognized top 100 executive from Minnesota Business. You can see Sophia in multiple ways. She's held multiple titles, but she's also been incredibly involved in our community, which is actually how we have met. A well-rounded, amazing leader. And as we dive into these conversations, you're going to get to know her even more. Even those of you that have probably worked with her before on teams, this is a new side of Sophia that she is bringing out into the world that may have been inside but not shared all the time. So I'm excited to be the one that gets to sit here with you as you unveil all of your hard work and dreams that you're bringing into fruition to help so many lives. So thank you for spending the time with me this afternoon.
Well, Shannon, thank you for having me. And thanks for everybody who's joining today. It is so fun to see names and new names. And look, I'm excited to dive in. Like, I just get right to it. So thrilled to have the conversation with you, Shannon. And thanks for everybody for joining this afternoon.
I said this earlier right before we went live, but just a housekeeping item. If you have any questions or comments or things like that while we are having discussion, please leave those in the comment section. We would be happy to address those so that we can make them happen for you. And get some answers in there. I'll be monitoring them. We are a slight delayed, so when you see them, we're probably already a few seconds ahead in the conversation. So we'll be thoughtful in how we answer those as well. And if we've got some time, we will leave some time at the end for some questions. But we're going to dive in right away. So, Sophia, with over 25 years of experience in HR, executive leadership, like I shared, you have seen many professionals rise to the VP and C-suite positions, including yourself. What are the top 3 qualities you believe are essential for someone who is aiming to achieve these high-level roles, and how can they demonstrate them effectively during the hiring process, that interview process when they're trying to show up in the space at their first impression?
This is one of my favorite questions. I love talking about kind of those attributes or what does that look like? But here's what I'm going to tell all of you. I am not going to give you a laundry list of all the leadership competencies you are supposed to have. What I'm going to tell you are 3 things. 3 things that I feel and I've experienced are tried and true. What I mean by that is know thyself. That's number 1. Sounds so simple, right? Of course I know myself. I know what I'm good at. I know how I show up. But do you? Because this is where it also can get you into trouble, is know thyself. And what I mean really is, yes, have that strong sense of like who you are. But where I find people sometimes kind of getting a little derailed is they try to kind of make themselves who they are based on what is expected of them. Right? What other people expect of you, what the organization expects of you, what your community expects of you, what your family expects of you. None of those are wrong, okay? Because those are all tried and true in my own life. However, sure. If you know what really matters to you, then this is your truth. So for me, knowing thyself and like that becomes the center and core of who you are. There are 1,001 or 1,000,001 self-help books, or how many things are out there telling you who to be. And I'm actually going to be contradictory. And I'm going to say, could you please turn that off? Could you please pay attention to know thyself? So important, because in your career, if you aren't showing up as yourself, and we all ebb and flow, right? We're trying to fit in. We're trying to show up. But if you lose sight of who you are, then you're really not being authentic, and it actually can come back to bite you, particularly as a leader, because people are going to your team is going to sniff it out. I don't know what you think about that, Shannon, but that's my F3 things, but that's my number 1.
I would like just to add on to that part too, Sophia, is I think then you might step into a space where you're actually not ready to take action on, right? And that doesn't mean that you don't have the capacity to take action or the skills or the resources to be able to do that. But deep down inside, you might have some conflicting thoughts and actions if you are stepping into some skin that you're not normally in.
Exactly. And especially when you're in a leadership role, it sounds so obvious, but the higher you go, the more visible you become, the more people, everybody's pointing at you. Everybody's looking for something that you're actually not doing right. So if you have that strong sense of self, we hear about resiliency, but you actually learn to become more resilient and you learn to thrive. Now, do I practice that every day? No. Am I great at it? I think I'm pretty darn good at it. I've had to be, but I've had a lot of hardship and different heartache and all the things along the way. And that's why I'm telling you to know thyself. I think the second thing is going to seem obvious, but know thy stuff. What does that mean? Yeah, be the domain expert, right? But in being a domain expert and knowing your stuff, it's what is differentiated about you. Everything I'm going to talk about today is about you. It is not about where you're sitting. It is not about your organization. Like, I don't even want to hear it. I want you to be so keened in on and clued in on who you are. So yes, know your stuff, but the more you're and it builds confidence, right? So if you know yourself, you know your stuff, and figure out how you're going to be differentiated, and then build a habit around making sure your differentiation is consistent, because that goes back to authenticity. Okay. Shannon, what you think? Because I know Shannon here. I know Shannon, she is not a surface level person, or am I? You can see I get energized, I get amped up about this stuff because I see too many people kind of hiding, right? They don't really want to be seen. And when they're seen, they're not really showing up authentically.
Yeah. And I think there's some spaces, and full disclosure, I am coming in as a white woman. I know that comes as a surprise. I'm kidding. I'm being facetious, right? But like, I come in as a white woman, and I think sometimes in the workplace, we're kind of beating around the bush of, it's easier sometimes for me to be thyself, right, than it might be for you or another person of color in a leadership space, right? Like, but I think of some individuals who have fully stepped into that, like yourself. Like, this is me, you're gonna get me no matter where I'm at, and how that has provided a trajectory of your career. So what's the third one? I'm curious. I'm like sitting on the edge of my seat. What's the third one?
Know thyself, know thy stuff. The last one is know thy triggers. Now, I don't have a better word than triggers. I know that's not maybe a great word, but I'm going to use it for the time being. And what I mean is, I feel people overlook this. You know, when we think about how you show up, how do you react and respond, right? So let's go back to the workplace for a minute. So we're talking about you, or we're talking about you in the workplace, right? And it could be in your family or elsewhere. But if you have a level of self-awareness about, wow, why did I react that way? Right? Is it about them or is it about me? And I know we don't like to say this. And look, I'm in HR, remember, right? I'm not the favorite person in the room. Everybody's like, oh, HR did this to me. No, we didn't. You did it too. So I think you really need to step back and think about, why did I get triggered? Why am I reacting this way? It isn't about perfection. I'm not telling you to show up perfectly, because I absolutely do not show up perfectly. Let's be super clear. But you building this trust in yourself will make it so much easier to know thyself. So all these things are connected, and I could give you 5 tips on how to be a great leader. And I want you to have agility, and I want you to have, I don't know, whatever it is, right? I can't even remember the competencies. That's terrible, right? But anyway, we use them. So
no, I think there's a lot of books and assessments that we go through constantly, that sometimes we just have to be introspective and understand ourselves. I think that's no matter what leadership, no matter what place in life you are, understanding the triggers. I say a lot to those that I coach and those that I lead. There are things that are going to happen to us in life, and we can heal from them, but sometimes there's going to be a trigger, and we have to know how to handle ourselves in that trigger moment, right?
And I'll share one thing, right? Since we are revealing some of our identity, right? So I'm a South Asian female immigrant, single mom. Like, I got all these boxes that I tick. And so you can imagine for a moment, the triggers for me are very real. So I might put on a good front sometimes, but I have to really think about, those moments where I've been in a meeting and I got to go pick up my kids from daycare when they're little, or the moment someone says something because they don't see me. And, they're not actually paying attention to me. I was told I'm racially ambiguous the other day. And I thought, I don't know if that's a compliment, or like, what are you trying to say? And so I felt triggered. And then I had to step back and ask them the question. I said, okay, I hear what you're saying, but help me understand, like, first of all, why is that important to you to have had to share that with me? And what is it you want to know about me? Because I think you have a question. So instead of attacking them with it, I realize it takes extra effort, but I had to come from a place of empathy. So the triggers also show up in that way, where it was actually them being curious, but they just didn't know, because we're so used to putting people in boxes that they didn't know where to put me. Right. So I had to manage my trigger and kind of manage my reaction. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you talking to me like this? You don't know me. And then go, no. I'll rather take the curiosity than the indifference any day.
Yes. And like creating that space to be able to share more of who you are. I think
Yes.
that vulnerability is something in my leadership journey that has played a huge part in why my teams have trusted me. And I have played that element of just being transparent about my life. You shared a little bit about your kids going, having to leave the room early. I'll share this really, really brief story. I remember being in a board meeting, and it was a 7:30 a.m. meeting, and I had two under the age of 2, and I was breastfeeding my youngest daughter. And I was like, who scheduled the 7:30 meeting? Oh, it was a man. It was a man that scheduled a 7:30 meeting. And I walk in, and it's all men at the table, and they're like, Foreman, why are you late? And I was like, I don't have a stay-at-home wife or a nanny. Like, that was my response. Like, it was just like this, like, I was so fed up, I had to go. And so that was a trigger for me. I was also young. I probably needed to polish myself a little bit more. But it did cause them to think a little bit more about when they were scheduling meetings. They did get pushed back 45 minutes after that meeting because of my my grandiose explosion.
Yeah, but Shannon, but you know what's important about that? So here's the deal, okay? You're going to have triggers. Again, this is not about perfection. I'm not saying like cover those triggers and never address them. It depends on how you address it. Sometimes you have to react. I got to be honest with you. I don't sit there so, buttoned up every day. I am in rooms where if I don't speak up and I don't say, hey, hold on a minute, and be that voice of change, because you mentioned being a change maker. Well, you know what someone called me the other day? Renegade. Well, you can look at that however you want. They said, no, you're a renegade. And what they meant is I am not afraid. The one thing around triggers is you have to make a distinction around, hey, when am I going to put my neck out a little bit? And when am I not? And when I don't, how do I feel when I don't? Not how do you feel when I don't? Do I feel authentic or not? It's not for everybody. But here, let me tell you, right, Shannon? The higher you go, if everybody wants to be in that higher level senior role, be careful what you wish for. I love it. I'm excited about it. I don't mind the challenge one bit. Okay. In fact, I think I am drawn to it. Every job I've ever had has been about transformation. Okay. So I am naturally drawn to it. But if you're not, I really want you to think even harder around know thyself and know thy triggers, because that can get in your way and it can have an adverse impact. I've seen it. I've seen it happen where someone might have been killing it in their day job, getting the results, getting the numbers, solving the problems, all the things, but their personality and how they showed up really got in their way.
Well, and I say this a lot. I got asked earlier this week, what was my coin term? New level, new devil. Right? So every time we move up, every time we up level, it's a new thing that we've got to have a challenge, right? And I think as we think of challenges, negotiation throughout our career is one of them, right? Like moving up the ladder and moving up into different positions with different responsibilities, and understanding how do we negotiate for our own value and our own worth, right? And this is one thing that I am incredibly passionate about, and I know you are too, as someone who is a financial planner and helps individuals in this space quite frequently on the flip side of what you do, right?
Yes.
And empowering them so that they can make their goals. I wonder what are some of those tips that you have for individuals as they go into the negotiation space around compensation packages, not just salaries, right? I think we've got to understand that your compensation package as you grow isn't just your salary.
Right.
And then I'd love for you to talk, because I know you've done this with a lot of people, maybe share a story that you've helped somebody kind of navigate that space.
Yeah. I'd be happy to, because, I had to learn to get comfortable, my early career around data, and I was a compensation leader at one point. And so I've done all these roles in HR, right? I'm actually going to start from a different way where, yes, let's talk about money. Absolutely. All day long, I'll negotiate and talk about those things, right? What I want you to think about is culture, because here's what I tell people. They get really excited by the title. They get really excited about the achievement. I'm equally guilty of that. So I am not going to sit here and tell you that that's not factual for me. However, I have moved, I've been in so many different industries. I would say at the core of my moves and why I've left or why I've stayed is the culture. So I want you to think about, what's important to you. It kind of goes back to know thyself. If it's important to you that your benefits package has whatever it is, or policies that are you feel more equitable or are more aligned to your values, then you better pay attention to the benefits package. You should pay attention to the policies of the organization, right? Maybe talk to people. I always tell people, Shannon, when they're interviewing, I know you don't always get a chance to talk to members of your team, right? And this isn't just about being a leader. This is about any of you, anybody at any level in the organization. What do you know about them? One thing you can do is, especially if organizations participate in any of the McKinsey reports or Catalyst or Seramount or what's the other one? Handshake, from a recruiting standpoint. What was the experience? What is the experience of people? Because they're being asked a rubric of super intense questions that can help you understand where do they fare up. So I would say start with the culture. That would be my advice. I'm not saying don't go for the money. It's not like I haven't done that, right? But it has kind of bitten me in the bum when I've done that and I got the big increase, but then the culture kind of sucked. The culture was pretty toxic and I didn't thrive. So look at the culture. The second thing is, please get comfortable talking about money. Particularly, I don't care who you are, get comfortable with it, okay? Because I don't care what job you're in, we're all negotiating something in our day job, whether we're trying to influence a colleague or maybe you have to get something done and you got to go talk to somebody. So what am I getting at? Currency shows up financially, but also shows up in relationships. And if you can do that, then you're going to be able to have an opportunity to potentially use those examples to negotiate your salary. So when it comes to money, let's get to money. Okay, so I talked culture, I talked relationships, I talked currency. What I really want you to think about is your market. Let's say you're in your current organization. How many managers, how many analysts, how many consultants? Who else is doing your job? How long have they been there? What has been their experience like? And I don't mean just go dig on the negative, because just because someone maybe is having a particular experience doesn't mean you will. Okay, so be really careful about that. But go and do some intel, go talk to people, right, about what it's like to maybe work in a different department. Sounds super obvious, but we often don't do it because we're afraid that we're going to be seen. The other piece I think that is important is if you're interviewing and maybe you didn't meet with anybody from your team or potential direct report, is ask to talk to somebody. What are they going to say? No. And if they say no, why no?
Yeah.
Because I've always a total red flag. I've always said I don't want to just meet with my direct reports. I want to meet with more people in my organization, not even in my function, to understand, hey, who are my key people that I'm going to work with, right? Do I have to work with somebody in the finance department or HR, right? Who's my HR partner? Talk to people that you may not be working with on a daily, because you might get some intel. And why is this important? Because you're trying to ask good questions before you make a decision. Now, money, pay attention to the market. Pay attention to your industry. Are the roles increasing, or are they in demand, or are they not? And actually, sometimes in a down market, you can actually make more money because you might be one of a few versus one of many. So understanding and getting the full holistic landscape is super, super important. I know I didn't get into the specifics because I can't tell you how much money, but I can tell you there's money on the table. Do your research and don't ever not pay attention to culture and relationships, because that is a currency that will always make you money.
Yes. And provide you happiness. I think as we think about what the work culture looks like, I just had a conversation with a mutual friend of ours yesterday about just how the work culture has changed post-COVID and how it has maybe even gotten a bit more hustle culture than it was before. And as somebody that runs my own businesses, I don't subscribe to that. So we have a different culture, I should say, at our companies. But I think that culture is so important, because the paycheck can come, but if you're miserable, no matter how much money you're going to get paid, it isn't going to produce happiness. I see it on the flip side when I'm doing financial planning for people. Like if you can't see it in one perspective, it's really hard to move forward in that as well.
Exactly. I want to add one. Can I add one thing, Shannon?
Of
I
course.
thought about something. So you asked me about an example, right? And so
Yeah.
I do want to share like some questions. And in fact, if I look down, because I'm looking at some of my notes, because this is very real. This is recent,
Yeah.
like in the past 12 months. So I had a particular individual who I've known for a long time, and she's been growing in her career. I would say she's, kind of maybe nearing late 30s. She's an engineer and she wanted to work in biotech. And I asked her a few questions around salary, right? I said, I want to know, how do you define being rewarded, right? What does being rewarded mean to you? Because I will tell you, the more you get in your career, you'll continue making money, right? I understand there's negotiation points, but I really think, how do you like to be rewarded? And when do you expect to be rewarded? Because in most organizations, I'm a corporate person, right? I'm in an academic setting now, but 28 years of corporate is, what's the merit cycle? How much merit have they been providing, right? Are there market adjustments? Are there bonus opportunities or spot awards? So there's some of those financial rewards, but what other things are there? So if you are clear on that, and you go in, you build more confidence, and then you can create that list of things. Here's what I'll tell you from an HR seat. Okay, are you listening? Don't come to HR 15 times during a negotiation. Because I'm sorry, I say stuff.
Say it.
Don't piss me off.
For the people in the back.
I know, I'm sorry, people in the back. I tend to curse. I promise I won't. But I'll tell you this. Don't piss me off. Don't piss my team off. Because then we go, what the hell? Why are you coming back to us 15 times? That actually puts a poor taste in our mouth that you don't know how to go. You don't know how to negotiate. You don't know how to make up your mind, right? So at the negotiation table, be super astute about doing your research. How do you like to be rewarded? What are the things that are most important to you? Okay. You do that. They might give you a little more. You might say, you know what? This is where I see the market. This is what's my growth. This is where I want to be. They might actually come back with more. Don't be surprised by that.
I think it's so important for people to do their research, to understand what's out there, and know that there is money on the table.
Yes.
Right? There is absolutely money on the table in these large corporations, mid-sized and larger companies for space to negotiate, right?
There is room. And we know merit cycles get compressed. So all my corporate friends, I know. However, if you can show your differentiation and you're just persistent in how you ask, the worst thing you can do, I'll tell you this, don't come and say, I want a 10% increase. Yeah. Based on what, right? So a lot of people ask for the money up front without showing their differentiation, and without showing actually specific results. Not just the potential, but specificity is super important.
Well, I think that it is an opportunity for us to kind of transition now.
Yes, I know. I get excited about talking.
Nope. Now you get to share the compilation of all of your years, 25 plus years of leading teams and leading frankly, companies into new directions, and having these conversations and being behind the closed doors, right? You just talked about, don't piss my team off. You're literally developing something, and have been for a year plus, on how to help people navigate these types of conversations and moving up in their career. So,
I'm happy to talk about it.
Can you share a little bit more about the career navigation playbook?
Yeah. So, like I said, 28, almost going in 29 years, right, in HR. And I've been in significantly big, global companies, mid-size, the whole bit. So here's the deal. A lot of people think they know what's going on, behind the scenes, or they make a lot of assumptions. So what I decided to do is, within my four walls, I can only do so much. It has nothing to do with the organization. It just is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. I want to have a greater impact. I have to. As somebody who's sitting in those decision-making seats, I am a decision maker, right? Talent on the business and the strategy, but let's talk about people and talent, right, for a minute. And so I want to make sure that I'm building transparency and really bringing it to light, hidden secrets. So this whole conversation around salary negotiation is part of my program. I actually coach people. I have made people a lot of money in their careers. I've literally scripted them
Wow.
where to pause, what to say, how to say it, when to say it. I have mapped out the whole thing because people fail. They literally don't know how to do this, right? And they expect it in one conversation. So my program is around career, those individuals, all of you who want to progress in your career, who want to make a difference for yourselves, your family, your community. And it's bringing those hidden secrets, because I sit in succession planning. I don't just sit it. And I'm not just the one facilitating it. I am helping CEOs make decisions. I've reported to multiple CEOs, and I am helping them make critical talent decisions, but I'm also helping them see the landscape of all the talent. Okay. And so I know exactly what it takes. I know all the ins and outs, and I want to diversify those decision-making seats, because I cannot be the only one sitting there, right? I like I said, I tick a lot of boxes. So how are we going to diversify those seats? How are we going to get more diversity of thought, experience, lived experience? So many areas of opportunity when it comes to inclusion, real inclusion. And I've got to make a difference there. So my program is like 12 weeks. It is intense. Okay. Because if you want to be a senior leader, it doesn't take you 6 months to make a decision.
Yeah.
And 12, we are quarter by quarter. You got to be able to know what's going on. You got to be able to make decisions. So this program is to model what we do every day and all of the touch points to pull you through and get you elevated and to accelerate you. Because I have to make a difference here. It's not happening fast enough. So that's where I'm coming from with this program.
I love that you are taking action and doing something that allows you to take up multiple lanes and not just be in the corporate space. Of course, you are making change in that space every single day, but expanding upon this. How does someone find out more information? What should they be like? Who is this for?
Yes. So I would say, first and foremost, this is, I want people who are trying to get to that senior leadership and C-suite role. Now, it may not be tomorrow, but if that's what you want, and I want, what I want you to say? I want you to say, I'm ready now. I'm ready now to pursue this. And maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's in the next 6 months, but how do we prepare you and get you there and help someone like me who can tell you all those ins and outs, right? Yeah. So let's break down those walls. Let's make sure that you understand processes, systems, succession planning, salary negotiation, team development, all the things that will set you up. So I know Shannon's going to drop in the comment section my links. So you can come check out my program. You can schedule a call with me. I got a day job. I am busy, just like all of you. So let's be respectful of our times and yours as well, because I want you to keep your day job. Is we can talk in the evenings. I do early morning calls, weekends. It's super important that we have a conversation and we really think about how are we going to really get you involved in an intensive call to action. Because if this is what you want, you can't sit back and say, I'm not sure. It might happen. Maybe someday, or maybe, my family situation, or maybe whatever the personal situation is. Because take it from me, I'll leave you with this. I have been a single parent for 15 years and I have navigated this. I've done it. It's been super hard, but you can do it too. There's nothing stopping you but know thyself and know you and what you really want. And so I get really pumped up about this because I'm getting tired of not seeing amazing people progress in their organizations.
And if we want to see change at those leadership levels, sometimes we have to be the one that takes the action and takes the step forward. So this would be my call to action for all of you. If you feel like you are ready to ascend to the next level in your career, or someone that should be doing something like this, I highly encourage you to check out Sophia's program, the Career Navigation Playbook. I have had the great pleasure of working very closely with Sophia from ideation to implementation. And I can tell you, not only did she pour her heart and soul and experiences into this content, but she is giving you access to the moving parts of corporate ranks that is behind several layers of curtains and no one is talking about it. You can buy self-help books, you can listen to podcasts, you can do the things, but Sophia has sat at those decision-making tables, and there are things she has shared with me. I've learned so much from this process of helping walk her through things that we don't know happens behind those closed doors. So I encourage you. I just dropped the link in the note in the comments. This is where we'll maybe spend a few moments. If there are any questions from anyone, I didn't see any questions that popped up into that space, but please feel free to drop some questions for us into the comments, and we'll be happy to add them. I would also say, so Sophia, this is a 12-week program. When does it start, and where can people?
Yes, that's kind of important.
What does it look like? Is it in
August
person?
6th? Yep. So this is August 6th. It is all on, it's virtual because I have people across the nation who sign up. I do it twice a year. And so this one is a little more formal because it's 12 weeks, starts August 6th. I have, some small digital modules, but you get me every week. And we get to use the tools that I've curated from all my years of experience in many organizations and in an HR executive role to help you progress faster.
Oh, that's so awesome. I think that it's important for folks to know that not only are you getting Sophia, but you're also getting a team and a community to walk through this process with, a cohort of sorts, right? People who are wanting to achieve the same things. Yes. Can you share a little bit about how important community has been for you through your leadership process, and why it's been important in taking action to the next levels too?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no way I'd be sitting here even talking to any of you or have any sense of credibility here if it wasn't for all the mentors and coaches in my life. So part of why I've set this up is because I'm a player coach. I'm in the game. I do the thing, right? But I've mentored and coached literally thousands of people. And I keep in touch with a lot of people. And so I learned from them. This isn't just about me. I've learned from some of the best, literally from the CEO of 3M being my mentor over a decade ago, to literally my mentee I met with this weekend, who is half my age, which is great because she teaches me. And so I learned from others, and I've brought all of that into this program so that it, again, is more holistic. And so there's no way I'd be doing this had I not had incredible people showing me the good, bad, and the ugly, and the things I didn't want to deal with, that I had to get over and I had to learn how to deal with. And so I want to bring that to all of you, because to me, there's nothing but opportunity, and I want everybody to have that opportunity to progress.
That's so fantastic. I thank you for sharing all of your wisdom this afternoon. I know that you, besides the career navigation playbook, you also have just a freebie for individuals who are maybe like not sure they want to like schedule a call, but like maybe want to dibble or dabble in understanding who Sophia is. So tell us a little bit more about that, and I'll share that link in the comments as well.
Absolutely. And thanks everybody for staying with us and participating. Really appreciate it. So the freebie is all around negotiation and salary. So I get into it. And if you sign up, you will be able to access this freebie. I have one specific course also dedicated, an entire course dedicated to salary negotiation. So this is what you'll get access to. And who knows what else, other bonus might come up. We might even get time together.
Oh, fantastic. Look at that. How many of you in your career would just like absolutely want to have someone like this in your corner, to be able to have that advocacy? This is why it's important to invest in yourself and find out more. Your first investment is just having a call with Sophia and being able to find out more. And that is when I think your true transformation will begin. And as somebody that has done a lot of that work myself, I know that it is very important to be able to invest in yourself. And that is what will take you to the next level. So Sophia, any parting words that you have for our crew today? Otherwise, we'll send them off into the rest of the afternoon.
What I will say again is thank you, because everybody's busy, but this is why you need to do it, because your busyness will continue. Life continues. There's never a perfect time. And my attitude is You're ready. Let's go. Okay, let's do it.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.